Hi, my name is Markus Bütterhoff. I'm SharePoint consultant at the company Amexus. I'm doing SharePoint projects since 2006 all over Germany. Since a few years, I'm blogging at SharePoint with a few of my colleagues, lots of topics around SharePoint. You can reach me by mail at markus@sharepointjungs.de or on Twitter at sbj_markus. If you want to meet me, there might be the chance on the European SharePoint conference in Stockholm. My session is PowerShell, SharePoint admin's best friend. So today's topic is call on a web service within a SharePoint Designer Workflow. For a little bit background, we'll see an overview of the different workflow architectures in SharePoint 2010 and SharePoint 2013. In 2010, the workflow platform was part of SharePoint. In SharePoint 2010, I can still use this old 2010 platform, but I also get the Workflow Manager as an external tool which hosts and manages workflows. It has to be linked to the SharePoint farm, and then we get new workflow capabilities of the Workflow Foundation 4. For example, we get a bunch new workflow actions which we can use. Here we see a list of all these new workflow actions. For now, we'll focus on the action call HTTP web service. In today's workflow, we'll get current weather information from openweathermap.org. We'll get the weather information as JSON data. And here we see an overview of the JSON data we'll get if we pass our city and the country code to the web service. On the left side, we see the raw data of the response, and on the right side, we see it as a structured data. On the top, we'll see the general weather information stored within an array. It's for example, is it rainy, is it sunny, a description of the weather and weather icon file, and we'll get lots of information, values of the temperature, min, max values, pressure, humidity, and so on. Okay, to make it a little bit easier for today, I prepared a list. It's a city info list. The list contains, of course, the title, country code, and a rich text column, weather info. We'll create new list items in here for Berlin, country code DE for Germany, and Amsterdam, country code NL for the Netherlands. We'll start the workflow right now and let it run in the background while we go over to the SharePoint Designer and have a look at the workflow. The workflow is called getWeatherInfo. It's a list workflow which is associated to the city info list, and of course it's a SharePoint 2013 workflow. Go on and edit the workflow. The first stage is to set a few variables. For example, a variable to calculate the Celsius value, since we get the Kelvin weather information from the web service for the temperature values, and we'll build the web service URL. We saw that we have to pass as query parameters the current city and the country code. For doing this, we'll add the title to the string, as well as the current items country code. Okay, if we set the variables, we can go on to call the web service. We call the web service with a string we built in the set vars, and we'll get the response as JSON data and put it into a dictionary variable, dict_w as response, and we'll get the response code from the web service for error logging purposes. Then we'll log the web service URL that was dynamically built and the response code from the web service. If the response code is OK, we'll go on and set the weather info. To get the weather info, we'll get the information from the dictionary using the action getItem from a dictionary. I did it also already with a temperature, the current temperature value, temp min, and I'll put in as a path temp max. This is a path to the max value within the dictionary dict.ws response, and I will put it into the variable num temp max. As we've seen previously, the general weather information is stored within an array, and so we'll have to put in the 0 to get the first item of the dictionary, again from dict.ws response, and we'll put it into the string weather icon variable. Then to get from Kelvin to Celsius, we have to do a little bit of calculation. Do calculation. I did this already with a temp and temp min value. What we do now is to get the num temp max, subtract the value from the variable, and store the Celsius value in num temp max Celsius. At the end of this stage, we'll build HTML for the weather info column. Weather info 4 will pass the current items title, and of course temperature values from our workflow variables, num temp Celsius. I did this already for the min and max value, as well as the main and the description values. And the very last action here is to build the string for the weather icon, string weather icon, to get it from the web service response. Okay, that's it. We can save it, and since we already started the workflow right at the beginning, we can expect to get information for Berlin and Amsterdam. That's correct. And so we see the values, temperature, min, max, weather information. It's clear in Berlin, and we see an icon. Okay, that's it for calling the open weather web service. And if we want to call SharePoint web services, which works as well with the action call HTTP web service, we'll have to do something special. For this, I prepared the get SB data site workflow, just to explain you how this works. Here we see again the call HTTPS web service. I will call my list. I've got an additional list called items. I will get the items, select the ID and the title, and what's important, to give additionally headers, so that SharePoint doesn't give me the XML response, but the JSON data as a response. For this, I build a dictionary and pass the values except, or the parameters except, with this value, and content type with the same value. If I do this, the SharePoint web service does give me the JSON data instead of XML. Okay, if I build this dictionary, I do have to say the action call web service that it should use the additional headers. To do this, I can go to the properties of our action and say, as a request headers, add the variable dict headers, which we build right on top. Okay, that's it for now for using the call HTTP web service action within a SharePoint Designer Workflow. If you want to get additional information like a list of the variables and a screenshot of the workflow, just type in sharepointjungs.de/espc2015 how-to and grab the data. So, thank you and bye-bye.
Thanks for watching this video. Why not check out some more great how-to videos, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for new videos as they're released.